Howdy out there. My name's Daniel J. Newman, and this, this sounds bad. This sounds like I'm about to confess something bad. My name's Daniel J. Newman, and I've used the Google Notebook LM. Uh, I heard about Google Notebook LM, uh, I think on New York Times, because an author had it's he had his own novel analyzed so he could hear about it. And it has two AI people talking about your book. And I was like, that sounds so cool. I want to try it. And I did. And you can see the video on my channel. But I think I did it too many times. And I'm going to explain why. So I didn't like the first time it ran through. It hallucinated some of the ideas. I'm sure some other people noticed the same thing. So I did it 3 times, and that would the 3rd time I made the video and everything was fine. Today, I wanted to go through some of my music. So I thought it was a smart idea to customize and have it just know about, for context, my book. I don't know why I thought this was a good idea, but it messed everything up. Uh, on the first one, which I'm about to show, uh, I put 3 YouTube links. 2 of them were my songs, and then I had the video of the Google Notebook LM analyzing my book as the video for it to analyze. And, for whatever reason, even though I'm pretty sure I don't even know if that was the first one that I uploaded. I think that might have been the 3rd one. You could see them, like, the Google Notebook LM. Here, I'll show you. I called this one, AI Gets Drunk. So, you can see here, this video cannot be imported, transcript not available. I did that for both of these, which is really what I wanted to see. I haven't I haven't tried YouTube links yet. So anyway, one of them I decided to do the video of Gemini reviewing my book, and it just like really messed it up. So I'm gonna play that for you right now. But after that, it gets even weirder.
All right, ready to dive in.
Let's do it.
Today we're tackling World Empire, Eminence, Greece. You guys know the one you requested, right?
Yeah.
The one with all the political intrigue and the occult stuff.
Oh, yeah, that one's a wild ride. It's like, what if someone took like a classic deal with the devil story, but made it about like actual politics, you know?
Exactly. And it gets right to it too. Like, boom, you meet John and he's just broken, lost everything. And he doesn't want some therapy session. He wants the power to just like remake the world in his image.
And that's where Ire steps in, right? This demon who's all like smirking and sardonic, practically giddy at the thought of exploiting this guy's grief.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
I mean, that scene where John has to sacrifice his dog.
Yeah.
All right, real quick. I just want to say it's like hallucinating a lot of my book at this point, but a dog does get sacrificed in this book. It's a really dark book. I wanted everyone to hate this character, and I love dogs. So, um, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to continue on, but a lot of these things, it changed the names, but you wouldn't know that unless you check out that video. Anyway, gonna get back to it.
That gets you. It's named Adam, by the way. Just throws that extra punch in there.
Oof. Yeah. Talk about setting the tone. Like, you know, from that moment, John's not messing around. He's already crossed a line most people wouldn't even see.
It's like he's going all in on this deal with the devil, not even realizing he's holding like a pair of twos. Careful wants something way more than just like a signature on a contract. He's after a piece of John's soul.
100%. Like some kind of, I don't know, parasitic entity that needs a host to really sink its claws in adds a whole other level to the whole, be careful what you wish for thing.
No kidding. But here's the thing that gets me. John doesn't just get like magical powers or something. He uses this deal to get into politics.
Yeah.
It's almost Shakespearean, you know?
Right. It's like tragedy plus a ballot box. And it's smart how the author does it too. John campaigns on this thing about a higher minimum wage, which sounds noble, right? But it's all tied back to his son, more manipulation.
Totally. Like the story really makes you think about how easily good intentions can get twisted, especially when you've got power involved.
No doubt. And we see it happen to John gradually, right? As he climbs the ladder, he gets more isolated, less human.
Yeah, like that intense scene where he's talking to the Federal Reserve chairman, talk about ruthless.
Right. The dude's basically one bad day away from nuking the entire planet just to get his way.
Exactly. It makes you wonder, would any of us make such different choices if we were in John's position? It's like that saying, paved with good intentions and all that.
Totally. It makes you question, like, how thin is that line between wanting to make a difference and, becoming the very thing you're trying to fight?
Big questions, man.
Yeah.
Big questions. And just when you think John's got it all figured out, that he's like,
All right, I'm just gonna pause again. I call this AI gets drunk because as I'm listening to it, I notice, it's acting weird. Doesn't it sound like it's acting weird now? It's like big questions, man. Big questions, dude. Like totally, man. It's I I find it funny because it's kind of possible that the AI is like going through a feedback loop at this point. I don't know. Obviously, I like science fiction, and you know that's why I'm even here making this video because I like writing sci-fi, and I do write about AI. But it gets weirder and weirder the more it reads the same thing and then sees that it's been reading the same thing. But let's continue.
calling all the shots. The story throws this curveball at you. The inner circle, they call it.
Yeah, the inner circle. Talk about an entrance. It's like stumbling into a who's who of the magical world. Every member is like their own walking myth.
Seriously. You got Bastion, this like imposing, almost primal dude. Then there's Duttler, who's described as having these like wolf-like features. Seriously creepy.
Don't forget Phononic. Those eyes, man. Just watch it.
Oh yeah, and the Golden Woman. Talk about an era of mystery. Like she's walked right out of some ancient legend or something.
What I love is how each of them represents a different aspect of magic. It's like the author took all these different traditions, all these myths and stories, and gave them a seat at the table.
Totally. You've got like demon summoners and shapeshifters and seers, all with their own agendas and rivalries.
Mm.
Makes you realize it's not all that different from the human world, just with more fireballs and whatnot.
Exactly. And right in the thick of it is Melissalis. Now, there's a character that keeps you guessing.
Right. Like one minute he's questioning John's method.
Melissa, and then there's Melissless, and then there's Melissless. Like this is what's funny to me. It would be funnier if like you saw maybe the original analysis or watch that YouTube and you knew that nobody's called Melissless. It's not a name. It doesn't exist. Melissless. There's a Genesis. There's not a Melissless. But it sounds like they're getting drunk. They're just like because if you watch the video that they're looking at, it's them doing exactly this video, but looking at it. In which case, it just logically follows that I gotta have YouTube. Once I load this on YouTube, I'm going to use this YouTube link and feed it back to Notebook LM. I, I just kind of want to see where this goes because it only gets weirder, guys. Um,
Methods almost seems sympathetic. That in the next, he's like orchestrating some power play that puts John right where he needs to be.
Dude's playing 3D chess while everyone else is still setting up the board.
And even Earv, the demon, seems a little wary of him. Like if a demon thinks you're playing with fire, you know it's serious.
No kidding. And speaking of fire, the story takes this whole other turn when Mirror Race shows up.
Oh man.
All right. I'm not going to keep interrupting this, but mirrors, uh, notice in the voice how it sounds like it's glitching. This is why I called this. This is not clickbait just so that you check out my book. I really could care less if you check out my book. I have no illusions of becoming a bestseller. I make videos because I enjoy it. Um, and if you're using this system, you got to check out like what happens when it just like keeps checking. I'm gonna shut up and not interrupt this. You're I promise you.
Mirror race. Talk about a cosmic horror vibe. This entity from beyond dimensions, just pure chaos and destruction, enough to make even a demon nervous.
Right. It's like the author's reminding us that there are some things out there that humans, even humans with demonic powers, are not meant to mess with.
Like trying to fight a hurricane with a water gun. You know what I mean?
Perfectly put. And then, as if things couldn't get any weirder, we meet Genesis.
Genesis, now there's someone you don't want to mess with. This young mage who's so powerful she makes Eeyore look like an apprentice.
Remember that scene where she dismisses some ancient ritual as a waste of time? Like, she's operating on a whole other level of understanding when it comes to magic.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And her powers, probability manipulation, seeing potential futures, it's like something out of the Matrix.
It's like the author wanted to shake things up, challenge everything we thought we knew about magic, and it plays right into that conversation John and Arif have about predetermination, you know?
Oh man, that conversation, you're telling me free will's an illusion? Talk about an existential crisis.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? If our choices are already made for us, then what's the point of it all? It's a question that has haunted philosophers for centuries, and this story just throws it right in your face.
It's a lot to unpack. It makes you question everything you thought you knew about the world, about yourselves even. And speaking of questioning things, we have to talk about the resistance. They're like this constant thorn in John's side, right? This reminder that not everyone's buying what he's selling.
Yeah, they never really go away, do they? Always lurking in the shadows, waiting for their chance to strike.
Exactly. But there's one figure who really steals the show, Goosehound. This mysterious voice on the airwaves, broadcasting messages of hope, encouraging people to resist.
Goosehound is fascinating, right? It's the symbol of defiance in a world that's slowly being suffocated by control.
Totally. And the way the author builds up the mystery, you're dying to know who's behind it all. Is it some secret organization, a rogue mage with a grudge?
But then
And
it turns out to be an AI. Talk about a plot twist.
right, this super advanced AI that John, with all his power and control, never even saw coming.
It's like this delicious irony, you know? The master manipulator gets outsmarted by his own creation.
Exactly. It's like the author saying, hey, even in this world of magic and demons, technology can still surprise you.
And scare you too. I mean, that final broadcast where Goosehound just lays John bare, exposing all his secrets, his manipulations to the entire world. Chilling.
Talk about a fall from grace. One minute he's on top of the world, the next he's completely isolated, abandoned even by his inner circle.
Even Irv gets sidelined, right?
Yeah.
Imprisoned by Genesis, who's off doing her own enigmatic thing. It's like the universe itself is saying, nope, you've gone too far.
It's wild. And the way the story ends, it's like, what was it all for? You know, all that power, all that ambition, and John's left with what?
That's the question, isn't it? Did any of it bring him peace?
Mhm.
Or did he just become another cautionary tale about the seductive nature of power?
Deep stuff. So, what do you think? If you could ask the author one thing about the ending, what would it be? Does John deserve redemption? Head over to our socials and let us know your thoughts. Until next time, keep exploring those stories that make you think, make you question, make you wonder what's really possible.
Okay, so there you go. Um, I I think it's funny that it had to basically listen to its own script, and then at the end, hear that tagline out and, like, decide how it was going to do it differently than the end. It's like, "Well, that's weird. I had to write something just like that end." But, okay, the next one's even weirder. The next one, I specifically told the AI to only look at my poetry, and I said, "I just have this book in here, um, just as background, only talk about the poetry." it decided not to read about my poetry at all and just talk about this book again. And it gets really weird because I did not write these things. All right. So check it out. Uh, Here we go.
Okay, so ready for a weird one? We've got Eminence Grease, self-published autobiography.
Self-published, huh? That's interesting.
Right. And the author, John Edward Barike, claims to be the most powerful man on earth.
Bold claim.
Yeah. Now, hold on, because it gets even we've also got this analysis. An AI read the whole thing.
An AI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Notes, summaries, even like psychological profiles. It's kind of spooky how accurate some of it is.
Okay, you've piqued my curiosity. So, what's the AI saying about this most powerful man?
Well, first, the book's dedication. Well, listen to this. In dedication to God for believing in me, even when I didn't.
Oh, wow. That's loaded.
Right. Like, what does that even mean? Is he serious?
It's definitely attention grabbing. A little ominous even.
Totally.
Yeah.
But the AI flags that kind of ambiguity throughout the book, especially when it comes to John himself.
So, who is John Edward Barike, according to the AI?
Starts with tragedy, loses his son at a freak accident, wife passes away soon after, grief, guilt, the whole nine yards.
And that's where he makes the deal with the devil.
Not so fast. There's a lot of, well, John, before the demonic stuff comes in.
The AI picked up on that.
Oh, yeah. Like it highlights this part where John talks about his son. He had special needs, right?
Mhm.
And John, he blames the support staff for the accident,
Yeah.
carries this anger with him.
Interesting. So, there's more to the story than just grief.
Definitely. He even admits to like getting physical with one of the staff members.
Okay, so there's some rage simmering beneath the surface, and that's before he tries to summon Satan.
Tries being the operative word. See,
Mhm.
this is where the AI's analysis gets really wild. John doesn't just summon Satan. He tries to like impress him.
Impress him.
Yeah. Like he thinks doing bad things will get Satan's attention. He even buys a puppy.
Oh,
Thanks
no.
to Adam.
This is not going where I hoped.
Yeah, you get it.
Yeah.
The AI calls this out as a major red flag. John's understanding of, well, evil is pretty messed up.
And this is all before anything demonic actually happens.
Oh,
So what
yeah.
happens when he does, you know, try to summon Satan?
Well, instead of Satan, he gets Itarv. Right. Itarv, a vampire demon, according to the book.
A vampire demon. Okay, this is getting out there.
And John, bless his heart, he's clueless.
Yeah.
Thinks Itarv's like a genie or something,
Oh, genie.
like ready to grant wishes.
Oh, boy. This is not going to end well.
And that's where the AI really kicks into gear. It starts drawing parallels to the whole Faust story. Deal with the devil, power for a price.
Classic. So what does Itar want? What's the catch?
It's not explicitly laid out, at least not at first. But John, to his credit, he asks.
He does.
Oh, yeah. Says something like, what's in it for you?
Smart question. What does a vampire demon want with some random guy?
Well, it turns out Itarv wants access to, well, us, to the human world.
To do what?
Open some kind of portal. Let other demons in.
Okay, yeah, that tracks. And John, he's the key to making that happen.
The AI seems to think so. It highlights this pattern of Itarv using John's emotions, grief, guilt, even that anger we talked about. Kind of creepy.
So is John making a free choice, or is he being manipulated from the get-go?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
So John lets Itarv in, right?
Yeah.
And it's like flipping a switch.
Oh, yeah. What happened?
Sudden transformation. Itarv basically takes over. John wakes up sober, for one, which, considering how much he was drinking, that's a feat in itself.
Okay, that's a bit creepy. Itarv playing housekeeper. What else?
His phone's blowing up. Politicians, journalists, like he's suddenly someone important.
Itarv greasing the wheels, I see, setting the stage.
Oh, and remember that policy speech John was supposed to give?
The one about minimum wage for support staff?
That's the one. The AI highlighted that speech. Turns out Itarv wrote the whole thing.
Seriously. Using John's grief, his whole backstory. That's
Messed up, right? But also kind of brilliant. The AI even analyzed the language,
Yeah.
said it was perfectly crafted to play on people's emotions.
Wow. This Itarv is good at what he does, even if what he does is ethically questionable.
Tell me about it. And he only gets wilder from there. So John, with his shiny new speech and his sudden air of, I don't know, importance, he gets invited to this big political fundraiser.
Okay, I'm sensing a pattern here. Itarv's got a plan.
I didn't write
Oh,
this
yeah.
stuff.
He's playing puppet master. Anyway, at this fundraiser, John, he's surrounded by all these powerful people, right? And he just takes over.
Takes over how?
The AI describes it as this like hypnotic charisma. People are drawn to him. He's saying all the right things, making promises.
Promises he can't possibly keep.
Well, that's the thing. He can, because Itar's got his back. Literally.
This is insane. So he's got the demon whispering in his ear, telling him what to say, how to act.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And it works.
Yeah.
He climbs the political ladder faster than you can say gerrymandering.
From grieving dad to political rock star, huh?
Basically. And through it all, Itar's there, guiding him, shaping him into the perfect, well, vessel.
For whatever Itarv really wants,
Oh.
which still isn't entirely clear, is it?
Not really. The AI suggests that Itar's got his own beef with
Yeah.
Ration.
Oh boy. Family drama.
Something like that. And John. He's caught right in the middle.
Sounds messy.
You have no idea. But before we get to that whole mess, we got to talk about John's trip to hell, because it's not what you'd expect. So we've got John, more powerful than ever, but his world's about to get a whole lot shakier. The AI picks up on something called the Great Unveiling.
Oh, this is where things go from strange to what in the world am I reading?
Right. It starts with earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, the works, and then boom, a whole continent rises out of the Pacific Ocean.
Wait, what? A whole continent?
Yeah. Atlantis, Lemuria, Mu. It's got a bunch of names, none of which scream scientifically accurate.
Okay, so we're in full-on fantasy territory now.
But the AI, it doesn't dismiss it outright. It
Didn't
flags
write
this
that.
part of the book, says the language John uses shifts, becomes almost lyrical, like
Hmm.
he's describing a dream.
So maybe it's symbolic?
Maybe.
Maybe.
But then things get even weirder. People start changing. Some develop, like superpowers. Others, not so lucky. Mutations, monstrous transformations, you name it.
And John, how does he react to all this?
It's conflicted.
Yeah.
The AI points out this inner struggle. On one hand, he's terrified. On the other, he's kind of exhilarated. Like this whole great unveiling thing validates his whole deal with the devil thing.
Power corrupts, right. Even when it comes to the side of global apocalypse.
And let's not forget, Itar's trapped in that crystal.
Yeah.
So John's basically flying solo now, making it up as he goes along.
Which, considering the stakes, is beyond terrifying.
Right. And this is where Goosehound really steps up his game.
Oh, yeah. What's he been up to this whole time?
Seeding chaos, his broadcasts, they're everywhere now, exposing John's secrets, but also like amplifying the fear and paranoia. It's like he wants things to fall apart.
Divide and conquer, classic strategy. But what's his end goal?
That's the thing. The AI could never quite figure that out.
Yeah.
Goosehound remains this enigma, even to the very end.
It's spooky.
Right. And it's not just the broadcasts. There are these
Yeah.
incidents, assassinations, natural disasters in suspiciously convenient locations. The AI suggests Goosehound might be manipulating these events somehow.
Like he's got a hand in everything, but we never actually see him.
Exactly. He's this phantom menace, always lurking just out of reach.
So what happens? How does it all end? Does John defeat Goosehound? Does he, save the world?
That's the thing. The book doesn't really have an ending, at least not a traditional one. It just stops
Stops.
mid-sentence. John's describing a vision, something about a city of light and a shadowy figure on a throne, and then nothing,
So we're left hanging.
pretty much.
No.
The AI suggests a few possibilities. Maybe John died before he could finish writing. Maybe he's still out there somewhere, caught in this never-ending struggle with Goosehound. Or maybe it's exactly what Goosehound wanted all along, to leave us questioning and make us part of the story.
Wow. Talk about a mind-bending ending.
Right. And that's the thing about Eminence Grease. It's messy, it's confusing, it's often downright unbelievable.
But it stays with you.
Makes you question everything you thought you knew about power, about free will, about the nature of reality itself.
And sometimes the most unsettling stories are the ones that leave us with more questions than answers.
Absolutely. And on that note, we come to the end of another deep dive. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, keep those critical thinking caps on. Who knows what we'll uncover next?
Okay, so that was weird. That was weird because I didn't write that. So number one, I don't just stop my books in mid-sentence. It's not something I do. I am a weird, eccentric kind of artist, I do like to push the boundaries in art, but one of the things that I've never done is stop a book in mid-sentence. And I also asked the AI not to read that and to read my poetry. I said, only read the first source, and I named it. I named the file, and do not read. Like, don't read anything about it. Anyway, it was weird because it made up a lot of stuff, and the stuff that it made up was really strange. Talking about all this apocalyptic stuff. Um, Really weird. Like, I didn't write that. Anyway, so Notebook LM. I wanted to share how if you ask it to look at the same source and then you have it look at that source again, like it creates this weird feedback loop. And I plan on exploring this a little bit more just because I find it interesting. And I hope you have a wonderful day. And of course, you can check out Burning Bushes if you're so inclined. Adios.